too slow, too soft, not athletic enough. These were not just words, they were judgments. Sentences passed by those who thought they knew what greatness required. They echoed in gyms, on playgrounds, in scouting reports. Too slow, too soft, not athletic enough. But Luka Dončić wasn't born to agree. He was born to defy. Ljubljana, Slovenia, February 1999. Snowflakes fell gently outside the small apartment window. Inside, warmth radiated from a small heater and from hope. Miriam Poderbin cradled her newborn son, Luka. Beside his crib sat a miniature basketball. It wasn't a random toy, it was a symbol. If his father could build a career with this, she thought, maybe my son will too. Sasha Doncic, Luka's father, watched from the doorway. His professional playing days were behind him, but his passion lived on. Look at his hands, Sasha whispered. Big palms, strong fingers. He's already holding the ball like he knows what it means. By 7 months, Luka wasn't just touching the ball. He was rolling it across the floor. By age 3, he dribbled across the living room with surprising control. By 5, at the local park, he wasn't just playing. He was outsmarting boys nearly twice his size. Other parents cheered when their children sprinted down the court. Miriam watched Luka pause, observe, and deliver perfect passes to teammates who hadn't even called for the ball. They see his size, she thought, but I see his mind. The whispers began early. Too small, too slow. Not from strangers, but from coaches and parents who thought they were being honest. Miriam, to herself, maybe he won't outrun them, but he will outthink them. It was still dark when Luka slipped out of bed. At 8 years old, he already carried himself like an athlete. He grabbed his worn gym bag and tiptoed past his mother's room. Outside, fog blanketed the empty streets. Most kids were still asleep, but Luka wasn't most kids. At Olympia Ljubljana's youth academy, he was always the youngest, always the smallest, and, according to the coaches, the slowest. They said he's skilled, but he'll never keep up. The other boys raced up and down the court. Their shoes squeaked loudly against the polished floor. Luka stood at half court, observing, not running, watching. During drills, he anticipated movements before they happened. During scrimmages, he passed the ball into spaces where no one expected it. Teammates hesitated, then chased after his vision. If I can't beat them with speed, I'll beat them with foresight, Luka told himself. Back at home, he filled notebooks with hand-drawn courts, X's and O's, opponents' tendencies, angles, space, timing. Miriam, surprised. You're planning plays even when you're not on the court. Luka, smiling. They run. I think. By 11, he wasn't just keeping up. He was outsmarting players 4 years older. But the whispers remained. Too small, too slow. And Luka? He didn't argue. He just kept playing. The air was heavy with the scent of rain. Inside their small apartment, Luka sat at the kitchen table, tracing the seams of his basketball. His mother, Miriam, paced nervously. Real Madrid wants you, she finally said, her voice soft but trembling. They want us to move, now. The words hung between them like a storm cloud. For months, scouts from across Europe had whispered about Luka. They praised his vision, his maturity. But there was always that other word. Slow. Miriam knew the move to Spain would mean leaving everything behind. Friends, family, comfort. It's a big step, she admitted. Are you sure you want this? Luka didn't hesitate. Yes, I have to prove them wrong. That night, they packed his few belongings. The apartment, once filled with childhood laughter and bouncing balls, grew quiet. As Luka folded his Olympia jersey, his mother touched his shoulder. Remember, son, they will always doubt what they don't understand. Luka, let them doubt. Miriam, smiling sadly. We're not just moving to Madrid. We're moving toward your destiny. Madrid, autumn 2012. The city was massive, loud, unfamiliar. At 13, Luka stood in the shadow of Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, clutching his gym bag. Everything felt heavier here. The language, the expectations, the doubt. He's too young, too slow for Spain's fast-paced game. Real Madrid's youth academy was unforgiving. Players fought for every drill, every minute on the court. At first, Luka struggled. He missed home. He missed friends. He missed understanding the words shouted at him in practice. Late one night, after a grueling session where he'd been benched for hesitation, Luka sat alone on the court. The lights were dim. The polished floor reflected the tears he refused to shed. His phone buzzed, a text from Miriam. "Remember who you are. You don't need to outrun them. You need to outthink them." Luka looked around the empty gym. "They think I'm slow," he whispered. "Good. That means they won't see me coming." Madrid, 2015 to 2018. By 16, Luka was no longer just a promising talent. He was a professional, the youngest player ever to debut for Real Madrid's senior team. The coaches remained cautious. Don't overwhelm him. Limit his minutes. But every time Luka stepped onto the court, he made it clear. Limits were for others. Teammate Sergio Llull, in practice. "Kid, you see plays before they happen." Luka smiled. "I have to. They all outrun me." The EuroLeague was brutal, faster, stronger, older players. But Luka adapted in a way that shocked even veterans. While others chased speed, Luka chased understanding. By 18, he wasn't just competing. He was dominating. EuroLeague MVP, EuroLeague Final Four, MVP Liga ACB MVP EuroLeague champion. Commentators tried to explain it. Elite vision, rare basketball IQ, uncanny anticipation. But in the shadows, the old whispers lingered. His European success won't translate. NBA athletes will expose his slowness. Luka didn't respond. He knew talking would change no one's mind. The court would speak for him. Brooklyn, New York, June 2018. The Barclays Center pulsed with energy. Fans held up signs. Prospects sat in sharp suits, nerves masked by forced smiles. Luka sat next to Miriam, his hands clasped tightly. His suit was tailored perfectly, but nothing about the night felt perfect. What if they still think I'm too slow? He wondered. What if Europe wasn't enough? Miriam leaned in, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Miriam, whispering, "They've doubted you every step of the way. What happens tonight doesn't change who you are." Third pick, the announcer's voice boomed. The Atlanta Hawks select Luka Dončić. The room spun for a moment. Applause thundered. But Luka noticed the hesitant clapping from some scouts. "Good skill set, but still too slow for the NBA pace," he imagined them saying. As he approached the stage, Miriam grabbed his hand. "They don't see what I see," she said. "But they will." After the handshake and the hat presentation, another twist. Atlanta had already agreed to trade him to the Dallas Mavericks. New team, new city, same old doubts. Let them doubt, Luka thought. It's what they do best. Dallas, Texas, 2018 to 2019 season. The American Airlines Center roared as the announcer called his name. Starting at guard number 77, Luka Dončić. The bright lights felt different here. In Madrid, they had celebrated him. In Dallas, they were waiting to see if he'd fail. He's got skills, but he can't keep up with NBA speed. Too slow. The whispers followed him into the tunnel. They lingered as he took his first steps onto an NBA court. His debut was cautious, some turnovers, some nerves. But then, vision took over. A no-look pass across the court, a step-back three from the left wing, a Euro step past defenders who thought they could trap him. The crowd shifted. Skepticism turned to curiosity. Curiosity turned to awe. Game after game, Luka's stats climbed. 21.2 points. Yet he knocked a Seki's rebound. 6 assists. By mid-season, the critics changed their tone. Unorthodox, but effective. Crafty, intelligent. But still, the backhanded compliments came. He's impressive, but not a franchise leader. Still too slow to be the future. One night after practice, Luka stayed late, as he had always done. Alone on the court, he sat at center court, staring at the rafters. His phone buzzed. A message from Miriam. Let them keep doubting. It's what they do best. You'll keep proving. Luka smiled, standing up. I don't need to be the fastest, he whispered. I just need to be the smartest. By season's end, he wasn't just a rookie. He was the NBA Rookie of the Year. And Dallas fans weren't just watching anymore. They were believing. Orlando, Florida, NBA bubble, August 2020. The world was different. Empty arenas, echoing footsteps, silence where there used to be roars. But inside the ESPN-wide world of sports complex, the stakes had never felt higher. Dallas Mavericks versus Los Angeles Clippers, Game 4 series on the line. Luka's ankle was taped so tightly it throbbed with every step. Every pivot sent jolts of pain up his leg. The medical staff had advised caution. His body screamed to stop. But Luka didn't hear any of it. All he heard were the whispers. Not athletic enough. Not quick enough for the NBA. With seconds left, Dallas was down by 1. Coach Carlisle drawing up the play. You good to take the shot? Luka, without hesitation. Always. The ball was inbounded. Luka caught it near half court. Patrick Beverley shadowed him. Quick, aggressive, relentless. Luka dribbled right, then crossed over left. Clock ticking. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. He backed up, step after step, pulling Beverley with him. At the three-point line, Luka rose. High, balanced, poised. The ball left his fingertips as the buzzer sounded. Time froze. The ball arced high, kissed the lights, then descended with purpose. Swish. Game winner. Series tied. History made. Luka fell to the floor, arms spread wide, staring at the ceiling as his teammates mobbed him. The world, for the first time, had no whispers left. Only awe. In the post-game interview, when asked about the pressure, Luka smiled. Pressure? Pressure is what they feel when they try to catch up. Dallas, Texas, 2021. By now, Luka was a star, an all-star, a fan favorite, the face of a franchise. But when the lights dimmed and the crowd's roar faded, he faced his toughest opponents. Expectations, comparisons, doubt. He's amazing, but can he lead a team deep into the playoffs? Too dependent on the ball? Still not quick enough. The criticism evolved, but the core message remained unchanged. Too slow. At home, Luka sat alone in his living room after a difficult loss. The TV was off. The room was dark. Only the city lights flickered through the window. His phone buzzed endlessly. Critiques, memes, analysts dissecting every move. He wanted to shut it all out, to disappear into the silence. But then, a message from Miriam. Remember who you are. You've never played their game. You've made them play yours. Luka closed his eyes, letting the words settle over him like armor. Public doubt was nothing compared to private pressure. He thought about the countless hours in Madrid, the foggy mornings in Ljubljana, the empty gym in Real Madrid, where he promised himself he would never break. This is the weight of leadership, he whispered. It's heavy, but I'm stronger. The next morning before sunrise, he was back on the practice court. The same old routine, the same old whispers. But now, they sounded like fuel. Let them doubt. It's what they do best. Tokyo, Japan, summer 2021. Few believed Slovenia would even qualify. Fewer believed they could medal. It's a small country, analysts said. Not enough elite talent. But Luka believed. He always had. In the Olympic opener, Luka erupted for 48 points, tying the second highest total in Olympic history. The world took notice. Maybe he's not too slow after all, one commentator joked. But Luka wasn't playing for validation. He was playing for something deeper. In the locker room, before the semifinals, his teammates gathered, tension thick in the air. No one expects us to be here, one player said. No one expects us to win. Luka stood, calm, focused. That's our greatest weapon, he replied. They underestimate us. They always have. Let's make sure they regret it. On the court, Luka orchestrated every play like a maestro. Passes threaded through defenders, rebounds ripped from taller opponents, shot after shot landing with surgical precision. They fell just short of a medal. A single heartbreaking possession ended their run. After the loss, Luka sat at the edge of the court, towel over his head, emotions raw. Miriam's message came quickly. A medal isn't what makes you great. Belief does, and a nation believes because of you. Slovenia might not have brought home hardware, but they had brought home hope. Dallas, Texas, 2022 to 2024. The narrative had shifted. The same voices that once questioned him now used different words. High usage, but elite production. Not the fastest, but perhaps the smartest player on the court. Defensive challenges, but offensive brilliance. Luka had heard it all before. The critiques always changed their tone, but they never disappeared. He adjusted not by running faster, but by thinking deeper. On the court, his step-back three became a signature. His passing vision dazzled even the most seasoned analysts. Younger teammates leaned on his leadership. Veterans respected his poise. One night after a comeback victory, a reporter asked, "Does it bother you that people still talk about your speed?" Luka chuckled. "They've been talking about that since I was 5. Let them keep changing their critiques. I'll keep changing the game." As the Mavericks pushed deeper into playoff runs, Luka's influence expanded beyond the stat sheet. He became a mentor, a strategist, a leader not just in talent but in temperament. Miriam watched from the stands, pride swelling in her chest. Speed fades, she thought. But vision? Vision endures. Dallas, present day. Too slow. The words that once haunted Luka had become silent. Not because the critics had vanished, but because their voices no longer mattered. He stood alone on the Mavericks practice court late at night. The lights dimmed, the seats empty. In his hands, the same basketball he'd held since he was a child. It felt no different. Yet everything had changed. The boy who was doubted for his lack of speed had become a maestro, a leader, a legend in the making. Miriam's voice echoed in his mind. You never needed to outrun them. You just had to outthink them. From Ljubljana's foggy mornings, to Madrid's lonely nights, to NBA arenas bursting with expectation, Luka had never silenced the doubt. He had outgrown it. They wanted me to prove them wrong, he thought, but I did something better. I made them rethink what was possible. A new generation of players studied him now, not for speed, but for vision, patience, precision. He bounced the ball once. The sound echoed like a heartbeat. This isn't the peak. This is just the foundation. As he left the court, Luka glanced back. The shadows were gone. No more chains. Only the game and the future. Let them doubt. It's what they do best. Changing the game, that's what I do.